Hi, I'm Shelley Tricho from bristolcounselling.co.uk. I help people to understand, to manage, and to quit comfort and binge eating. And I'm here talking about the tips and the support that I've been offering this week and to summarise what's happened, but also to answer any questions or comments. So if you have any questions or comments, I'm very happy to answer them. If you're watching the replay, you're welcome to still ask questions or to give me a comment. I will still answer them. I'm doing this every week on Fridays at 5:30, so I'll be very happy to answer any questions that you have. But the first thing that I want to say is, or to just acknowledge, is that this has been a really tough week. In England, for sure, that's where I am. So I know that it's been a really tough week. A lot of my clients have found this a really difficult one. Not only have kids gone back to school and everybody's trying to go back to normal in some way or another, but there's also been a rise and escalation in the COVID cases and infection rates. And so I think everybody's got a bit worried again. And, you might be feeling like you're frightened of the uncertainty. You might be anxious again about the COVID predicament and how that could affect you and your loved ones. And, you could be triggered into trauma feelings again. That's something that I've been working with quite a lot this week. Happened at the beginning of lockdown, and it might be happening again now. It's such a sensitive time. So, cut yourself a break. You're going to be going through a lot right now. We all are. Everybody is around the world. And we all cope in very different ways. But I'm here to explain some ways that you can cope with how you feel. So you might be feeling like this is the worst time possible for you to give up the only comforts that you've got, being food. And I'm kind of here to say that's fine. I'm not actually asking you to give up anything that you don't want to give up until you're ready to do it. And at some point, this is how it works. You will want to give up when you're ready, when you've been learning how to treat yourself well in every area of your life and be good to yourself. And it just happens naturally that you choose to give yourself better food when that happens. However, I'm still going to be encouraging you to start to treat yourself differently. That's kind of the whole point of everything that I'm trying to support you with. So to that end, I'll just get on with telling you what happened this week in my tips. So the first week, I asked you to start thinking quite deeply about what might be a compelling reason for you to stop binge eating or to stop yourself in the middle of an urge. When you get that craving, what real reason is going to make you think, okay, it's worth not giving in to that urge? And that's actually quite a big question. So I think it takes some processing and some thought to get into your unconscious to work out really why is the reason that you're listening to this, that you have an inkling that you really want to stop. And what's really going to make the difference when you need all the tools you can get to resist that very powerful binge urge. And I know how powerful that is. And I know all the tricks that your mind plays on you when that happens. And this is just one thing, one tool that you can have that might make the difference. So I'd encourage you to start thinking about that. And then the second video, I just talked about the difference between comfort and binge eating a little bit. Really, my point with this one is that we are all somewhere along the continuum, from just a little comfort eating to manage how we feel sometimes, way up to the other end of the scale where you have to eat all of the time. Because there just isn't anything in life that's handleable without food. And we all exist somewhere along that timeline. And I don't actually know anybody who doesn't comfort eat at all. If you happen to be watching this and you cannot identify with this and you cannot comfort eat, or there's someone you know that doesn't comfort eat, please drop it in the comments, because I'd just love to hear if there is somebody who just never, ever comfort eats. Because I imagine it's really, really quite common, along with all the other comforts that we use to manage how we feel, because we don't have a very good education in knowing how to feel and how to manage that and how to let it be okay. We are very sensitive creatures and we have feelings to guide us through life. And very few of us actually listen to what those feelings are trying to say because they're so painful sometimes. But that's just life. Life is uncomfortable sometimes. And so one of the things that I'm trying to help you through understanding is that you can just stay with that and acknowledge the feeling, and a lot of the time it will just pass. But that's another tip that I left another week. I'm digressing, so I'm going to go on to the next video that I left this week. So I talked about self-respect and appreciation, and I think this is really important. I think it's really important that you get over the very English thing of it's bigging yourself up too much, or it's being too boastful to appreciate the things that you're good at, or to say that you are the qualities that you appreciate about yourself. I can see that there's 2 people watching. I can't see who you are, but thank you for watching. If you want to say hello, I'd really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, God, I'd love to hear them, or any response to what I'm saying. But I'll carry on. So self-respect and appreciation. So I asked you, hi Shelley, I'm really keen to start moving forward and get your support. Is this class full yet, or is there another way forward for me, please? There is absolutely a way forward for you. And the next group is not full. It's going to be on an evening, probably on a Tuesday around 7 o'clock. Message me and I'll send you all the details, and we can have a conversation if you need to. Brilliant. Thank you, Facebook user. I don't know your name. Great question. Oh, my favorite question, probably. Anyway, so self-respect, so important. And I asked you to list some qualities that you like about yourself. And I'm suggesting that you do that every single day until you can really acknowledge and own those qualities. And I promise you that will make a difference to how you see yourself, which in turn will make a difference to what you choose to eat and how you treat yourself. And then the second practice that I offered to be a good idea is to appreciate everything, to just think about what you do appreciate in life and to switch your focus a little bit. I'm not saying that you shouldn't focus on the difficult feelings and the difficult experiences. I'll come to that in a bit. But to start acknowledging that there are things that you do appreciate in life. I got another comment, excuse me. It's Sherilyn. Hi, Cher. Oh my God, I can't wait to start working with you. Cher's been waiting to start a group with me for a while, but I've been busy doing other things. I'm already on your radar. Yes, you are. You definitely are. Thank you so much. I know that you've been appreciating these tips in the meantime, so that's a good filler. Huh? Brilliant. We've got 2 people to get going with. I love it. Anybody else? And Facebook user is really excited. That's so am I. I can't wait to see this. My favorite thing is working in groups, so I really can't wait to work with you. And now I've totally lost my thread. Appreciation. So I know it's a bit of a cliche, but go to bed seriously listing the things that you have enjoyed in the day, the things that you appreciated about yourself, the things that you did well, and just start getting into this practice of thinking better about yourself and the world, especially right now. My God, it's not easy to think positively right now. There's so much going on, and you have to really rely on your own inner resources, which again is why I'm here. So let me move on to the last video because that had quite a lot in it. And you're very welcome to ask questions about this because I'm sure I won't cover everything because it more or less summarizes everything that I've been talking about for the last 5 weeks. So I did a little video, which I have to say took me all day. It's quite a lot of process. Editing those things, don't think it's easy. The actual work is so much easier. But so the first tip that I offered in this summary on the last video was to stop. And this is it, this is going to make the difference with a binge urge. If you can stop yourself just for a second, just for long enough to start thinking about different ways of being instead of just being in this big reaction of needing to satisfy that binge urge. Obviously, the longer you can stop for, the bigger the pause between the binge urge and actually taking the food into your system. the more of a chance you've got to try all the different techniques that you've been learning here and that you may get from somewhere else. Anything that works for you, there's an opportunity for it to work if you can stop for long enough. One of my clients actually came up with a good idea. I mean, it's not new, but I just thought actually in this context it's really useful. She said that she just to not get the chocolate in, she loves chocolate, don't we all? To just not buy it and have it in the house. We both kind of realized that that gives her a longer pause to think about it. Yes, she can go out and get some from the shop, but that might take half an hour, in which case she's got half an hour to think of all the things that might stop her from eating. So the longer you can leave it, the more chance you've got. That's number one. And I know how difficult it is to stop, so don't get me wrong, I know it's hard. And then number two was to ask yourself if you're responding to hunger, a feeling of actually needing food, or whether you're responding to some emotion or discomfort in your body, in your experience, in your feelings. And so that'll get you starting to think, okay, I'm comfort eating right now, or actually I really need to eat some food, in which case, why wouldn't you eat something healthy? Without the criticism in that question. But if it's just a hunger, if you're hungry, you'll eat anything. Whereas discomfort wants specific foods. It wants junk food that's going to help you calm down or feel better. And then number three, I asked you to think about what emotion you might be feeling behind that binge urge. If you were to stop, like you are doing apparently, and then to work out what feelings you've got on, well, what feelings would you be left with? If you stop, what feelings do you notice? And this might be one that you need a bit more education around. So there is a couple of tips back in the series about feelings. And obviously my work, I work with feelings a lot because this is the one that's difficult to manage. But to start identifying what your feelings are is a really good step. So then number four was about your why, which I've just gone through. So this is a good time to start thinking, okay, I know I want to be really healthy and I don't want to die of COVID. So that's one good reason that might be compelling. That is compelling for some people I know. I did you a video on the reasons that I have, the things that make me stop binge eating, because I've come from a background where I know what this is like, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this, and I can now stop myself. And I think the most powerful reason for me is that I know how to work out how I feel, and I know how to manage how I feel. Mostly, as a human being, it's never going to be that easy all the time, but I do have that power, so I don't really need to eat, because I'm going to listen to my emotions and see what they want. They might want me to look after myself. They might want me to take action in a certain area of my life. And all of that is going to be much more important to me than having a bag of crisps. So that's the thing that stops me. And, as I say, not all the time. I'm not like one of these people who only eats healthily all the time. I don't think that's healthy either. But anyway, so that's number four. Wow, we're only on four. Number five, this is also quite a big one, is to start to think about how you're criticizing yourself. Start recognizing that voice in your head that is giving you a hard time. I often have clients who say that they are thinking of themselves like, you silly cow, what are you doing? You didn't do that right, or nobody likes you, or I don't know. I'd love to hear what your critic says, if you've got any comments on the kind of thing that your head tells you automatically, just unconsciously most of the time, just a sentence or two that is negative about you that just automatically comes out. So that's a really good thing to start digging for and noticing just before you're having a binge, when you're in that stop moment, which is really long right now, right? But great, so you're still not eating. So critic, very big. And then I remember talking to you in one of my tips about the child. So the next tip was number 6, was, are you in reaction? Are you being reactionary? And yes, the answer is yes. If you're going for a binge, you're having a reaction. And I characterize that as a childlike response to the critic or to some difficult thing that's happened. And So that's also can give you another tool. If you can see that you're in reaction, you might choose not to be. You might think, I don't know if I want to be that emotional, childish. I might, so you might be able to step back and think, what would the adult do here? How would I treat myself better? What do I really need in this situation? Which actually I think is number 12. So I'll come to that in a minute. Number 7, I think I asked you to stay with, or to validate how you feel again. So you can't do that enough. You're going to have lots of different feelings, and to keep asking yourself, what am I feeling? And then to answer that question. And again, what am I feeling now? And to keep being very, very compassionate, very kind towards whatever feeling you come up with. So if you come up with anger, I'm angry that my boss put me down while I was at work. Oh, I hear that you're angry. I'm so sorry. What can I do to help? See how that's so much more compassionate than, you stupid cow, shut up. You should be over all this by now. Stuff it, I'm just going to eat. Very different way of talking to yourself. So then number 8 was, how can you comfort yourself in a different way apart from food? And we had a whole section of tips on mindfulness, on self-soothing, and on staying with your feelings. And so this is a good question to ask yourself while you're in the middle of a binge, or a binge urge, or even in the middle of a binge, or just everyday life. You can practice all these things anytime, really. We're very human, so there's always going to be an opportunity to practice how you feel. And so that was number 8. Number 9, I've got something about self-respect here, and I can't remember what number 9 was, but we've done self-respect, so I'm hoping that I covered that one. And then I asked you, number 10 was, so this is I think this is the trickiest one, and the one that will just click for you one day. And for some people it clicks early, sometimes it takes a while. But so number 10 is, what happens if you resist that binge urge? And I think this includes all of the tips in some way or other, so all the perspectives that I've been trying to teach you. But I had a beautiful session with a client today who just suddenly really got it. She got that you have to, when you're desperately craving, when it's in your throat, it's in your mouth, your whole body's like, I want this food, and I'm not going to be happy unless I get it. It's the only thing I want. I'm going to think about it all day long until I satisfy it. I know that's what it feels like. What you need to do is stay with that energy and stay with that. Okay, but what if you don't? I never get the click. So Facebook user, I never get the click. I really want it though. Yeah, I totally get it. Share, thank you. And this is, I think, what most people are wanting. So thank you for persisting with this, because it's a really good one for me to keep talking about, I think. So the way it happened today was, I asked her to stay with the energy of that, I need this, and to notice how your whole body gets involved with this. Your breathing stops, there's tension in your arms, in your shoulders, in your hands, in your jaw, in your face, in your belly, in your whole body. And so to just stay with that energy and be like, okay, what's happening here? I'm really like about this. What is that? What is that about? And just stay and observe it. And then there's going to be a feeling somewhere underneath it, and I can't tell you what that's going to be, but it's just to observe that and to stay with that. That's the next tip, is number 11, is to stay with the discomfort. It is going to be uncomfortable, and I'm sorry about that, but that's life. We all have discomfort, and the way to get through it is to acknowledge that and to stay with it. There's nothing wrong with you for having discomfort. There's nothing wrong with you for having pain. There's whatever the feeling is normal. A million people will have felt it before, and it's possible to get through it. It's not going to last forever. It's like a wave, I think, a feeling. It's a bit like grief. They come in waves. So if you just stay with the wave, ride the wave, it will eventually pass. Unlike if you give in to the binge, that is never going to pass. That's proper addiction behavior. So if you keep feeding it, it'll just want more. It'll just want more and more and more. I hope that makes sense. So, and then we're on to number 12, which is ask yourself what you really need. So, this goes along with understanding what all those feelings are, being really compassionate with them, and then asking yourself, okay, what does my feeling underneath this binge urge, this discomfort that I'm feeling, what is it really about, and what does it really want me to do, and what do I really need right now? And that might mean how do you really need to comfort yourself right now? Which is always a nice question to ask yourself. What do you really need after you've asked all of the questions about how you feel? So I know that is a massive process. And again, I'm just going to say you're not expected to get all of this right now. It's going to take practice. It's going to take keeping on learning, keeping on listening to what these things are, but particularly learning about your feelings and how to identify what's going on there and how you can interpret that for the more positive and the better for you. That's all I really have to say about the work that happened this week. Do you have any more questions? Share, I think you're the only one watching live. Is there anything else that you want to comment on or ask about at this point before we get to work together or before I come back again in a week's time? Obviously, you can ask me in the group as well. If to that end, I have a Facebook group for anybody who's watching, Comfort Eating Recovery Support Group. Would love to see you there. Please add yourself if you want some extra support. I do post on something on there every day and it's growing. We're nearly at 100 members, and once it gets to 100, I'll be getting much more involved and trying to get people involved as well and asking lots of questions so that we can get talking and that you can possibly even buddy up with each other and find an accountability partner. The community is growing, I'm very happy to say. So if you don't think you've got anything to say, if anybody's watching the replay, please just jot replay in the comments and any comment or questions you have. As I say, I'm really happy to answer any questions at this point. And I will be back again next Friday at 5:30. I am actually, oh, there's a message. Thank you for your support, Shelley. Oh, you're so welcome. It's really nice to know that somebody's picking it up, and it's lovely to see you live on this. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you. I really look forward to starting the course. So do I. How many are we waiting for? That's a really good question. The minimum we can have is 4, so 2 more apparently, as long as I can get the other person in. Yeah, no, I think something's frozen in the world right now, so I imagine that it will start streaming soon, but I don't know when. But I will keep you in touch, and I'll be here every week anyway. Let me just check out my sheet to see if there's anything else that I need to tell you. Next week, I am actually going to stop doing the tips every day. Thank you. If you spread the word, that will definitely help. That's the comment I'm responding to. Thank you. So yeah, I'm going to stop doing the tips every day, but I am still going to be producing videos and help. So I will be back again next Friday. I'm going to keep doing this on Fridays, unless, I might try doing this on an evening in the week and see if it is more popular at that time. Let me know if that would suit you better actually as well, because you're my #1 fan right now and I love it. So you get to decide a few things. You can actually tell me when you want the next group to run. I would be open to that. I'd be open to that from anyone actually, but you get the first call. I think that's it. If anybody has anything you want to communicate with me about, I have so much more information that I can give you. This is the tip of the iceberg, and I would love to send you information on how I can help you with your comfort eating or your binge eating or your stress eating or your food addiction or any other words, emotional eating, binge eating disorder. It all helps the same thing because it all leads back to the same thing of self-confidence, self-respect, and how you feel about yourself. Next week, I'm going to start talking about body esteem, and there's something else I'm going to talk about next week, but I've forgotten that right now, but it'll all turn out. All right, my love, I really appreciate you watching. It's so nice to have you actually here, and I'll see you again next week, hopefully, or whenever you can make it. Take care. Bye-bye.